This is a vial that would contain 100 milliliters, or 1,000 milligrams of propofol. This vial, it's made out of glass. And the propofol in it is sterile when it's provided, which means there's no bacteria in it. The rubber stopper I was mentioning is right on the top there. And to remove the propofol from this vial, one has to go through that rubber stopper. It is possible, but it's rarely done, to take a pair of pliers and remove this aluminum ring. But nobody does that. That's just a pain to do. So you go through the rubber stopper. You can either go through it with a small needle to draw a drug into a syringe, or as has been done in this case, one can go through it with a large spike, as I described for this. And you can remove it with an infusion as a drip. So a spike would go into this, and that would go to a drip chamber, and drug would drip out of this. The one key thing to point out, though, when the saline comes out of this bag, the bag just shrinks. It gets smaller. There's no problem. This doesn't change shape. It's glass.
When you say this, you're referring to...
I'm sorry, yes, my apologies.
People's 30, the propofol.
People's 30. The propofol bottle can't get smaller. It's made out of glass. So in order to remove propofol, you have to let air go back in. Otherwise, there's a suction. So as the propofol comes out of this, air has to be reintroduced because this cannot get smaller, unlike this, which just shrinks as the saline comes out. This is a 20 cc syringe. It has a plunger with a rubber stopper, which makes a nice airtight seal inside the syringe. Getting quite a bit of clutter here. This is a needle, and it has this little mechanism which I'll use at the end just to cap the needle so there's no chance of a physician accidentally sticking themselves and getting injured from this. I will not, no, I will do it. Just let me first show you that if I do this, I may be able to pull some propofol out. But I'm going to be fighting a suction fairly soon. Let me try to make this clear for you. And I'm now pulling quite hard. There's a vacuum inside there. So I can't draw out any more than that. What I have to do instead is I have to put air into the syringe. So now I have 15 cc's of air in this syringe. When I put the air into the syringe, and there was actually a vacuum, I'm going to, no, don't worry about it. But now that I put the air in, what I will do, and I'll try to make you can see it on the top here, I'm going to inject the air, and there are bubbles forming on the top here. And as I inject the air, now I can pull the propofol out. Because I've replaced I've added air into this, so I'm replacing the volume that I'm removing. And it takes a couple steps of injecting air and removing propofol in order to draw up the drug.
Dr. Schaefer, I could approach with the magnifying glass and People's 30. And could we dim the lights just briefly?
Yes.
Looking at the, just Dr. Schaefer, looking at the
Yes.
what's on the screen of People's 30, do you see this line to which I'm pointing with the red laser?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And we can have the lights, thank you. And looking at People's 30 then, before you with the magnifying glass, you see that same linear line in the stopper.
Yes, it is not ambiguous.
And what does that line indicate to you?
That line indicates that a spike was put through this, not a needle, but actually a large spike with that would give you the ability to infuse this drug.
And we'll talk about that more later, but when you say a spike, again, you're referring to a long plastic spike that would be connected to an infusion line?
That is correct.
And that's why there's the large linear line as opposed to a small needle hole?
Correct. A needle would never do that. And that's what you would expect to see from a spike.